Welcome to OCTO TALK for Computacenter, where we look at latest trends, innovations and insights in the world of technology. My name is Ash Richardson, and I'm joined today by Darren Franklin, who is our Chief Technologist for AI and Data. Today, we're going to be looking at building an AI strategy and things you need to consider whilst you do that. So welcome, Darren.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Lots to talk about today. AI, a very popular topic. Many of our customers, even people we meet, family, friends, talking about AI. Lots of the things that we talk about though in AI tends to be around the hypothetical. So what I wanted to do today was really spend some time looking at some of the realities, some of the things that we can actually do and consider to actually move our customers forward or help them move forward in terms of AI strategy. So I suppose the first question for me to you would be then, why is it important to consider having an AI strategy?
I think you're going back on your previous point. I think you're right. We've gone out of that hype cycle of AI and the possibilities, and now we're really seeing the innovations that it can bring to the enterprise. I think before the hand, there's been a lot of speculation around the benefits that it can give. The strategic reasons for building an engagement plan with AI it's fundamental in wrangling that level of capability within the business. It's all pervasive. It's not one particular area it's touching the entire enterprise at the moment. And without really understanding how it's going to impact you both positively and negatively within the enterprise, it's difficult to understand where to actually start. So that strategic vision is really important, just to get the first fundamental building blocks of where you can go, where you should go, and where you need to stop when you're looking at AI.
Okay, that's good. So having a clear strategy, understanding how it's going to help and support you, things that I hear often. I suppose the question is then, if you don't have a strategy, what are some of the things that you've seen that result from not planning properly?
Ill-conceived ventures is a big one. The AI is only really going to start benefiting you as a business if you start engaging from the top down. So the business strategy is fundamental to getting a really good grasp of what AI can bring to you as a business. We've seen too many customers stall at proof of value, proof of concept stage, because that strategic engagement and buy-in hasn't necessarily led to the outputs that they're looking for. So getting a handle on the benefits and the strategic vision of your company and then aligning the AI needs to that vision is really important. Without the business case, it's going to fail. It will stall at best. If you've got an understanding of the direction of the business and how AI can help you along that path, then great. But don't rely on AI to build it for you. We're seeing integration and new service creation with AI, but it needs to be aligned to the business strategy. Otherwise, it's going to be a difficult journey.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen, because sometimes when you look at AI, there's lots of different areas within the business, as you said, that can benefit from using AI. And sometimes you get the situation where part of the business will start to look at using AI tools and technologies. Another part of the business will look at doing the same. But either the reasons or the technology they're using can actually come into conflict sometimes. And what I mean by that is you may have someone that says, well, I can build this on premises, with these sets of tools, or I can build over here in the cloud. So you start to get this disconnect between what people are doing, why they're doing it, and where they're actually putting those workloads from an AI perspective. So to your point around the kind of business strategy, understanding where we can go and what we can deliver from a business perspective, it becomes really important then to start to join those dots. Is that something that you're seeing in terms of the integration of different parts of the business to come together to form that strategy?
Absolutely. Integration is the biggest stumbling block we come across at the moment. Poor integration. It's a technology integration issue fundamentally. If we treat AI as a business tool, a very powerful and very engaging and very important business tool, but it needs to be aligned to it. We've seen it in the past around the proliferation of tools and processes across the enterprise, and before you know it, you've got a very costly IT estate to run, no standardization, no unification. And it's a similar story with AI. So what we see is if you, I think there's a concept that's come to the fore at the moment around building centre of excellences for AI within the enterprise.
Yeah.
So having a foundational core that guards the curation of the tools, the standardisation of policies and the security parameters around that, and then feeding into the other business units that can go out there and be a little bit more evocative when they use AI and be a bit more specific to their business unit needs, but always leveraging that centralised platform that's been curated through the Centre of Excellence. Similar way that we used to see cloud adoption strategies being implemented through the enterprise a good number of years ago, with that Centre of Excellence and that core principled capability that's been driven from the core into the business unit to the edge.
Yeah. So if we take that, principle of the Centre of Excellence, how would customers go about starting to kind of build that Centre of Excellence? Who would they include within the business?
It's outside of the domains of the IT departments. This needs to be focused on IT and business strategy working together. If you look at the stakeholders, let's look at AI being all pervasive at the moment. We've seen from the phone in your pocket all the way through to large language models being created in data centers of your own. We've seen it all and across that scale. If you look at the number of stakeholders that might have a say in that, it's really important to get them together into that business unit. So you can start with, the security is going to be fundamental. Security is a big challenge for a lot of our customers at the minute. How do you make sure that what you're building is going to be secure, is going to be protected, is not going to put you or your business at risk? Yeah. Which is why we see a lot of customers engaging at the moment in those lower risk opportunities around operational excellence, etc. And then look into what they can do from a monetization perspective later on.
Okay. So what are some of the common challenges then you see in terms of people trying to start to use AI within their organisation? What are those common kind of themes that you're seeing as you talk to our customers?
Challenges is where to start. I think we started having those where to start conversations probably a year or so ago. I think the use cases are becoming a little bit more apparent now, but it's really, if you start too big, you start in this spiral of inertia. Your wheels keep spinning. You don't necessarily get to the end goal as quickly as you want to. So I think biting too big a chunk at the start, I think the easiest way to get started is to identify those low risk opportunities within the enterprise and start small, and then build from that and build the capabilities that you've got within your organisation already, or use third parties, and starting out on those small, low-risk opportunities, and then start from a good grounding, and then work your way into the more complex areas at a later date. Always keeping in mind, though, you need to be flexible in whatever you're doing as well, because the AI industry is moving at pace at the moment, so that level of flexibility needs to be taken into account as well. So don't be too structured in what you're doing. You need to fail fast, is mine.
Yeah, definitely seeing lots of that. One of the questions that I've had a number of times is around kind of ethics, AI ethics. Some people talk about wanting to be able to empower people to do things better, to improve customer service, even to reduce the number of physical people that they use to deliver an outcome to, whether it's internally or externally. Have you had many conversations around that, and what kind of, I suppose, thought process needs to happen in order to consider ethics within AI in the business? Yeah,
absolutely. It's a key talking point that we speak a lot about. How customers start on this is through the understanding how impactful those use cases are going to be. Engage the community within the enterprise. And don't do AI to them, do it with them. Let them understand the journey that you're going on as an organisation. Understand the use cases and the benefits that it's going to bring you, and understand the data that you're going to be using in there as well. I think fundamental understanding of the data and the principles around that data and the data governance that aligns to the AI strategy is going to be fundamental as well. So keeping the guardrails around what you do from an operational source data perspective and feeding that into the end goal that the AI endeavour is looking to try and create is going to be fundamental to bring the enterprise on board with you. Obviously, a different conversation if you're looking at external use cases as well, when you're bringing external users into the conversation. But internally within the enterprise, make sure that people are aware of the journey that you're looking to go on. Publish the policies, publish the use cases that you're going to try and benefit the business with, and then bring everyone on that journey with you.
Yeah, and I think that's probably fundamentally part of that AI strategy, because as you start to look at those use cases you can build and deliver, through your centre of excellence, as an example, making sure people are kind of on the bus, on that journey with you, and understand that the reason why we're implementing these tools is to drive a better outcome for the business and for the people using those, whether it be internal or external. So definitely agree with that. We see a lot with customers now around really trying to understand how their people work and what they do, so that they can help to increase productivity, increase user experience, as we said earlier on, those kind of things. And I think that part of that strategy needs to be really clear in identifying those parts of the business and the things that you can do, with them to transform. Exactly. So if we think about a traditional starting point, then you've talked about data as being a key point. Why does that play such an important part in terms of an AI strategy, understanding your data and what you'll use to kind of build those AI?
Yeah, it's the fundamental building block for any AI outcome that you're looking to drive. Whether it's creating new data assets or creating new AI assets, having an understanding of the data that you hold is a key fundamental building block to getting success out of what you're trying to achieve. If you don't understand the data you've got, so how are you then going to build an outcome based on that? If you don't understand the quality of that data, then expect less than favourable AI outcomes by leveraging it. Aligning the AI strategy or the AI governance strategy to your data governance is really, really important as well. So don't treat them as separate entities. Bring the data people on board with you. You're leveraging their assets fundamentally. Unless you're creating new assets, you're going to be leveraging theirs. So making sure that they are part of that ecosystem of internal providers to build that level of capability is really important. Fundamentally, understanding the quality, the data that you hold, how relevant it is to the outcome that you're looking to provide is going to be key for you to drive that successful outcome going forward. It's fundamental, it's foundational to whatever you're trying to do. So understand your data. Understanding your data, getting some good management and data management structure around that is going to benefit you tenfold when it comes to the outcomes that AI can provide.
Excellent. Now, in terms of the strategy, we're looking at AI strategy here. We talked about data and information, that you may hold yourself. What are the considerations in terms of data that I might have as an organisation and data that I might need to bring in? Because obviously, the reason I ask that is we see some customers where they embark on the journey where the outcome is biased because of the data that they've got. So again, have you got any thoughts around if you're building an AI model or an outcome, why or when you might choose to supplement data that you already have?
Yeah, I mean, we don't see at the moment. I think the majority of people are leveraging pre-built models to an extent. But they're also now integrating their own data into that model to make it more specific. There are obviously some considerations you need to make with that, i.e. how well curated and well understood is the model that you're using as your foundational capability in the first place. If you don't understand the quality and the curation of that and the lineage, then it's going to be challenging. But then injecting that information with your own specific enterprise data is fundamental to making that model more specific to you as an enterprise. We're seeing that a lot these days where instead of just starting from scratch, building your own model and making it specific to you, we're already using what's out there. There's a marketplace of opportunity out there for you to use that are specific to business use cases. Then aligning that to your own enterprise data as well, using retrieval augmented generation, etc. That's a big way of getting some really good shortcuts quite quickly in there and making it specific to you as an enterprise with a specific use case in mind. And that's probably the most advantageous use of your own data mixed with publicly available data there is, but understanding where that public data came from.
Yeah, excellent. I think that kind of comes back to that ethical considerations, isn't it? Because understanding that data, making sure that there is no bias, or if there is bias, we understand what it is, and there's a reason for that bias.
Exactly. I mean, we've started talking around MLOps a lot recently as a conversational topic with a lot of customers, and what the journey they're on in there as well. It's really that curation asset. I mean, we've talked about data ops and the level of capability when it comes to data management. We're now seeing that level of structure being born out of a AI or machine learning ecosystem now. So curating the models, understanding the lineage, protecting and securing, they're going to be your tier one data assets in years to come. So make sure that you're protecting them to the right levels now. Curating them through their life cycle is going to pay dividends in the end.
Yeah, it just sparks a thought. Actually, it wasn't something that I thought about before, but as you were talking there, we've seen over the last few weeks the challenges that some organisations have had in terms of their data being it's encrypted, so held for ransomware. So if you think about the data assets that we start to build these models on, and running your business on, providing business outcomes, they're going to become critical in terms of protecting those, moving forward in the future.
They are. Absolutely. But again, AI is becoming a force for good in that area as well. So cyber resiliency measures that are being led by AI are helping to bridge that gap where AI is the perpetrator and the bad actor. We've now got that level of capability being born in the enterprise now as a force for good. So. Yeah, hopefully we'll meet in the middle at some point, and we'll see that gap diminishing.
Excellent. So just thinking about, I suppose, some of the recent conversations, engagements you've had with customers, what would you say are common themes that are coming out in terms of what customers are trying to do? Are there any specific use cases that are being mentioned? Are there any issues where you're seeing repeated where customers haven't done things or need to do things before they actually get into the delivery of kind of AI assets?
I think the biggest challenge they've got, and it's probably not answering your question directly, but excuse me for that, but I think the biggest challenge we've got at the moment, there are so many use cases out there that people are trying to point AI at, that it becomes really challenging to identify where those true opportunities are. Yeah. We've had engagements in the past where we've literally been given a bucket of Post-it notes to say, we've canvassed, and these are the opportunities that we feel that we might have within the organisation to leverage AI. Some of those are true AI use cases. Some of those are more operational BI activities that may not necessarily leverage AI, and that comes down to the use AI where it's necessary. Don't use it for everything. Mantra comes into it. So I think the biggest challenge is too many use cases, too many opportunities. Let's understand where those real business value use cases are going to be. Start small. Operational use cases is probably still one of the biggest areas that we're seeing at the moment, from low risk, good opportunity for cost savings, sustainable activities through understanding what the cost of AI is going to give you to an enterprise as well. So FinOps for AI and data and AI is becoming a big topic at the moment. Data and AI estates, can be quite cumbersome at times. They can be quite costly if not curated correctly. So understanding what that looks like from a financial operations perspective is going to be key, and that's probably another area that we're seeing more investment in these days as well.
Okay. So if we were just to kind of recap on what we've spoken about for the last few minutes, if we were going to say 3 things that we should do from building an AI strategy, what would your kind of first 3 things be?
Understand your data, understand the use cases that you're looking to drive, and then understand how ready you are as a business to undertake it. AI isn't just a technology; it's all around people and process as well. And I know it's a mantra that's been spouted for a while now, but it's very true. It's a really strong business tool that needs people and process on board with it to get the best benefits. If you don't have one of those 3, technology, people, process, similar to data governance, there will be challenges. So bring people on board with you, make sure that everyone's aware within the organisation of the benefits it's going to bring. Build the processes either around the AI that you're building and the AI capabilities that you're building, and make sure you've got a consistent set of tooling and technologies to do that. Let's not create another technology sprawl within the organisation. Make sure that everybody's consistent in the way they're trying to leverage AI with a standard set of tools, policies, processes, et cetera, to make it as simple as you can do to coerce this thing to go in the right direction, because it is a challenge. It's a huge challenge.
And how quickly would you say that a customer should look at creating a centre of excellence for AI? Where does that kind of feature in the strategy?
I think it's depending on the size of the organisation. It might not be necessary for everything, but the size of the customers that we operate within, the global reach and the complexity, I think it's fundamental to certainly to our customer base. Having a set of principles to work from is fundamental. I think do that as soon as feasibly possible, with the expectation that they will help you corral this opportunity in the right direction by putting some policies, some process, some tooling standards around it so you can work from. And then engage the business units as well. So if you look at that as a hub and spoke type of methodology, where you've got the centre of excellence in the hub, and then each of the business units that have got their own specific use cases that they're driving, can then leverage that set of standards to work more independently, and then come back to the centre if they need to. But having that level set in the centre that governs and owns what the organisation is trying to do is really important.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Any other pointers that you think we should think about in terms of going on that journey towards AI being pervasive within organisations? Probably a bit more of a forward-thinking one now. Once we've kind of done all of those things you mentioned there, where do you see the next, I suppose, iterations of AI? How do you see it changing and transforming, both from a technology perspective, but also from the elements or the outcomes it will drive within businesses? Kind of a blue sky question.
It is, and the rate of change at the moment within the AI landscape, it's difficult to put any markers in the ground past 6 months from now. Obviously, agentic AI is the big talking point at the moment. How customers are starting to make use of agentic is really exciting. It's also it raises its own concerns around the guardrails that you need to apply to that. Obviously, agentic AI means that you haven't necessarily got that human in the loop. There's probably it's a little bit far. It's a little bit more separated from that. There's obviously that level of governance and control that you need around it. Yeah. But I think they're the biggest areas that we're seeing at the moment. That leveraging the agentic AI use cases and what that can do to the enterprise to simplify operationally, and then what that can do externally to external customers is really is going to be really exciting and important to understand. It's an area that I think a lot of our customers are still looking at. Yep. They've started early with the easy agents to get on board with. And it's the next evolution of it. Leverages generative AI. It's not generative AI. Let's put that straight. It leverages it. It can leverage it. It doesn't have to, but it's how it then integrates with other departments, other functions, other systems, other businesses. It's really it's quite an exciting time at the moment as to what difference that's going to make. Yeah. I don't think anyone really understands what it's going to make yet, but it's interesting to see what it does.
So we've got an OCTO TALK coming up that will talk about agentic. So we'll delve into more details around that, because again, I'm quite excited to see what that brings. For our customers and in general. There was a topic I just wanted to kind of throw out there and just get your view on. In terms of agentic AI will probably be one part of that, but those centre of excellences, do you ever see a time when AI is actually doing that? So it's helping you understand the organisation. It's helping you understand what people do, how they do it, and almost creating those use cases for you within the business.
It's poacher turn gamekeeper, isn't it? It
Exactly,
really is. Yeah. I think there will be a level of control that AI can take away from the human interaction. I don't think it will take it all away at the moment. Again, it goes back to that conversation around it can, but should it? So I think what it can do is control the policy and the behaviour of what AI is doing within the business. So it'll potentially automatically control the guardrails, understand where those policies and procedures lie, and then put some measures in place to make sure those boundaries are stuck to without having too much human in the loop when it comes to that. It's going to take a lot of testing and trust within the organisation to enable that to happen. But trust is a big part of this anyway. I don't think we've spoken about that enough at the moment. But trusting what it's doing and putting that level of making sure that the guardrails work for you as a business, making sure that the ethical trustworthiness, transparency of AI is sufficient for what you're trying to do, and you've also got that level of that AI lineage that you need to control it with as well. So I think, short answer is yes, I think it will take some of those activities out of that COE, but I think there's always going to be some level set with that human to guide the troops.
Keeping humans in the loop.
Absolutely, or at least on it.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so are there, just I suppose as a conclusion, are there any kind of things that excite you about AI? That when you speak to customers, it kind of gets you, really passionate. Things that you want to get involved in, things that you think will make a difference, come from a personal level, from a.
There's so much in so many industries. And I think that's what's so exciting about it is because it's not specific to a particular industry, specific use case. It's all pervasive, right? From I think the horse is bolted about. There's a real Kodak moment going on at the moment where those enterprises don't want to engage with it. They're going to have to at some point. It's probably already in the enterprise as far as they're aware. I mean, like I said, the phone in your pocket to the services that you leverage through the software providers that you're actually using at the moment. It's everywhere. So I think you can't put the brakes on it. It's going to happen regardless. It's how you control that, and I think that's the exciting bit for me, is to understand how we work with it rather than against it, or for it, which is a dystopian view that I don't want to get into at the moment. But
I think that software vendor piece is quite apt, because lots of vendors now are looking at how they leverage AI within their software, and again, it comes back to, in terms of your strategy, where do those vendors actually process that data, as an example? So is it going to be on the device? Is it going to be in their cloud? So to your point, I think in terms of a strategy, really understanding the vendors that you use in that landscape is going to become key, because the data and information you put into there may not be data and information that you want to be shared elsewhere. So it becomes really key that you really understand what it is you're doing, which vendors you're using, what they're doing with your data, and how that kind of shapes what you do moving forward.
Exactly, and at the moment they're working within a strict guideline of their own tool. I see in the future that those boundaries may blur, and tools will work with tools to provide a better outcome for you as a business as well. So it's then how you track and control data that goes across platforms, across businesses. I think it's the possibilities are endless, but with that the considerations that you need to make are also important, but putting some firm boundaries on what you want to try and achieve, that's where the AI strategy comes back to, fundamentally, is aligning it to the business strategy and the goals that you want to achieve as a business, and then working back from that. Don't let AI guide you on a path. It needs to work with you as a business.
Yeah. So I keep saying final question, but we'll also just thinking about that. Are there different skills, different people that are going to be needed within organisations to help drive some of this change?
I think people will need to be skilled in the uses of AI. I think that's fundamentally a need from the enterprise and the businesses that we work with. It's also a big concern of a lot of workers within the organisations that we speak to as well. Is it going to impact me personally? Is my job safe, etc., etc. I think AI has got benefits to help you on that path to more productivity. You need to be aware of the benefits that AI is going to bring you. You need to work with it rather than against it. Undoubtedly, in some circumstances, it may have a negative impact in through productivity means, etc., etc. But we don't necessarily know what that's going to be yet in the wider scale. But I think the more savvy, the more you understand what AI can do for you as a user as well as a business, I think it's going to benefit you in the long term.
I'd agree with that. I suppose the point I'm thinking about is people actually within organisations that can actually help to build these models. So the actual skills and talent that you need to be able to enable this outcome.
Absolutely. Well, I suppose and again, it depends on how you're consuming AI.
Yeah.
If you're building your own models, curating your own data, all of the rest of the stuff, then yes, we will have more AI-specific skills needed. We'll have more data-savvy skills needed within the organisation. Mm-hmm. But if it's just software as a service that you're leveraging, then you may not see too much difference in there. From an AI governance and control perspective, then yes, you need to be aware of that through whatever policies and procedures you're putting in place to make sure that your team are upskilled to understand the implications. But yeah, there will be new skills needed, either upskilling internally within the organisation or bringing in external skills that you might need to do specific jobs to build those AI use cases for you. But yeah, there is a need to be upskilled.
Excellent. Well, I think that kind of covers the AI strategy. Lots to kind of think about there and to reflect on. So thank you for joining me today.
No, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us today on OCTO Talk from Computacenter. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please subscribe and follow us on social media platforms so you know what's coming next. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.